I think for a long time, I thought like, if you're a CEO, you're kind of the main character. And I've learned with my business that the way that I can be successful is by making my clients look really, really good in whatever they're doing, whether that means that I'm helping them get new business, I'm helping them present to their board, I'm helping them get new investors, that my success actually is their success and vice versa. And so I think that for lawyers who are thinking about being entrepreneurs, they're like the role of the secret weapon is what is really valuable to clients.
Rachel, welcome to Diners and Deals at Vocal. I think the first time that we met was at S&G Diner, I think. And as I always mention on this podcast, we tried to record there. We can't. We're recording here. We love it here at Vocal, but we always pay homage to the best diner in the world, S&G Diner, 3000 North Lincoln. If you're in Chicago, please go there. Rachel Saunders, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I think that we met actually the same way the founder of Vocal and I met over LinkedIn is how this friendship developed.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was like kind of cold over LinkedIn too.
Yeah. Yes. Which is cool. And I'm just so like glad that you reach out. There are certain people when they reach out, you and Reed had taken the same approach with me, which was, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm up to. Could we meet and talk about this? And like, I am always happy to meet with entrepreneurs, founders that are like just trying to like figure it out, because we're all trying to figure it out all the time and we need each other. And so I feel blessed and honored that you reached out and that we've developed a friendship. So, and thank you for being here. This might be the first time you've done something like this.
Yeah, this is definitely the first time that I've done a podcast where I haven't prepared for days or weeks. Done one podcast before, but no, thank you for like being so open.
Sure.
I reach out to people on LinkedIn all the time. People reach out to me on LinkedIn all the time. I try to pay it forward and not be weirded out when a cold outreach comes in. So thank you. And this turned into something that I think really changed the trajectory of where I was going. So
well, I don't necessarily believe that, but I'll sit here and absorb it. And it's also funny, when we met, we didn't know that we shared an uncle.
Yes.
Uncle Ron.
Yes. I just had dinner with him last week.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I was supposed to see him. We'll talk about Uncle Ron here in a minute. So anyway, let's talk all about you. So tell us about the business.
Okay. I'm the founding partner of Saturday Legal. At this point, Saturday Legal is me. It's technically a law firm, but I provide fractional general counsel services to high growth companies. I am trying to deliver legal services differently than a traditional law firm would, because I think there's a big gap in the market. I think that the billable hour is pretty broken, especially with the increasing use of AI in the delivery of legal services. And so I have a model where I just charge clients a flat monthly fee, and I'm basically retained, and I do a whole range of different tasks for my clients to help them just move their business forward.
Yep.
Sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's legal adjacent, but they're looking for someone who can kind of act like a concierge counsel to them.
I was going to say, it sounds like concierge medicine.
Yeah,
to me,
it definitely is.
But for business.
Yeah, and I thought when I started it that it was going to be much more about like, these are the documents that I deliver, and it's turned into, I was surprised. I just kind of like, let my clients use me in whatever way delivered the most value. And it turned out that it was much more strategic, and that they're looking for someone who can really like be their partner, have a seat at the table. A lot of my clients are solo founders. And so I'm the person that they're bouncing things off of. And it's amazing. I love it.
It sounds amazing. And we're going to go in the way back machine, but I'm going to ask you before we time travel, when did you first have an inkling that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Or have you even had it yet?
Yeah, no, I've had it. I think it's funny because I think I for a very long time used the word entrepreneurial. And So I think I kind of always aspired to be an entrepreneur, but was afraid to take the risk of actually being one. And so that word entrepreneurial like allowed me to kind of feel like I just, it's my nature. Like even when I was working for other people, I always thought like an owner.
Yeah.
I always worked at that level, but like making the shift from being entrepreneurial to being an entrepreneur, when did I first know that I wanted to do that? Well, we can go back and do like a whole bigger story about this.
Sure.
But I think it really was one of the principles of the firm that I used to work for. After we sold the business that I was running for them, we were talking about what I was going to do next. And I expressed an interest in possibly buying a business. I was throwing all these ideas at him, and he told me he was going to back me whatever I wanted to do, and that I needed to figure that out on my own. And then he told me, the one thing I know about you is that you're an entrepreneur. And like that stuck in my head because I had never thought, like I said, I had always thought of myself as entrepreneurial, but never as an entrepreneur.
Let's stay right. I want to stay right there. I want to stay there in that moment. Did it hit you in the moment, or how did it hit you? Where did it hit you emotionally, physically? How did it ripple through you? Did it ripple through you in the moment, or was it upon reflection?
At the time, I knew that I'm the kind of person who just like sets goals for myself, and I always have to have like the next goal. And so I knew I had a goal for myself when I think I was 33. I set a goal for myself. I wanted to be a CEO by the time I was 40. And I became a CEO when I was 35, and we sold the business when I was 37. And so then I'm like, shit, okay, what now? And I need a new goal. And so it kind of hit me in that moment in a way, because I realized like, okay, the one thing I've done a lot of things, and we can talk about the other things that I've done, but done a lot of things, but I've never taken risk. I've never made a bet on myself. And
in this way.
In this way. Okay. Yeah. In this way. So it hit me as like, okay, this is actually maybe the next goal, the next thing that I need to do to prove to myself. And then
talk about the proof to yourself. What does that mean when you say that?
It's just like, I like, since I was little, I've just always been someone who I hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
My parents were never like, go do your homework. I was like, that was internally motivated, completely self-driven. And that's just kind of like, I'm very curious, and I enjoy setting goals and meeting my goals. And so proving it to myself, I don't know.
It's okay.
But yeah, I think
I know what you mean. I think a lot of our listeners know what you mean. And a lot of us are like that. I think there's this parallel, there's this duality or dichotomy that lives within us. And I think often we are our own harshest critics. We are often our own self-motivators.
Yeah.
And I think that many of us have low self-esteem or negative self-conception in many ways. We don't necessarily think we can do the things we've set out to do. And I think it's the thing that also motivates us to then prove to ourselves in this dialectical construct in our brains. It's like, I have now set this goal. Oh shit. Well, I'm going to go, like, I don't even know if I can do it, but I'm going to go do it. But once the concrete sets, there's almost no unsetting it.
Yeah. I think also it's like, I know who I admire. I look around and I see people who are doing hard things, and those are the people I admire. Like, it doesn't even matter if they're successful or not. I admire that they're doing the hard things. And so I want to be one of those people.
Good. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I want to be like the man in the ring. Or the man in the arena. So yeah, I think that was it. But the conversation, the comment about being an entrepreneur, although something did stick when he said it, it definitely is as a comment I've come back to. And now it's like, I have to, it's like, it's held me accountable. Like the conversations with you have held me accountable. I think the belief in me from hearing belief from others keeps me going a lot of the time.
So it stuck, it set in. Like when you heard it, did it jolt you at all? Was it like, oh, there's That's the truth I've been circling around.
My husband had been saying it to me for like probably 3 years at that point.
Okay.
So it was hearing it from my mentor
Yeah.
that really, yes, there was a jolt. But when I told my mentor that, I was like, this is exactly what I've been hearing from my husband. So I think it was like hearing it from two different people I respect.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. So let's go back in the way machine. Where'd you grow up?
St. Louis.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what were your influences growing up? Like, how did you think about, I'm curious, like, did you think about going into business? Did you think about becoming a lawyer? Did you think about being something else? What type of household did you grow up in? What type of influence did your parents have, your environment have? What was your upbringing like, and what was your self-conception like kind of going through the growing up years and as you initially went into college?
So both my parents worked growing up. My dad is the owner of a jewelry store that he started about 50 years ago.
Wow.
And my little brother is actually taking it over right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's an entrepreneur. His mom was an entrepreneur as well. So kind of come from a family of entrepreneurs on that side. And my mom was an executive at Anheuser-Busch. She was the first woman put on the strategy committee at Anheuser-Busch. She was the spokesperson for the company. And she was previously a lawyer that then went in-house at Anheuser-Busch and then built an entire department there, which was one of the first corporate social responsibility groups.
Wow.
And then she, from that platform, went into just general communications for the business. So I saw two working parents. I'm one of four. And so like always something going on in the house. I had an amazing nanny who was a huge influence on me. And I thought, my mom was one of the only working moms in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And she had the coolest job ever. And so I was like, okay, yeah, you go to law school, you become a lawyer, you learn how to think.
Yeah.
And then you take that and you can move to the business side, because that's what I saw her do. And so that was kind of the path that...
That's a great role model.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And where did you go to undergrad?
UVA.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. I just went back to Charlottesville for, I think it was like the second time since I graduated. UVA was a great school in that I learned a lot. I also had a lot of fun. And I think that I went to Michigan for law school. So I kind of have this like theme of going to schools that help to make you really well-rounded. And
I have to just pause you there for a second. Everyone knows that Buckeyes and Wolverines can be friends. This is proof again that it can happen. Keep going.
Well, it also doesn't hurt that I was in the library studying the whole time I was there. So I like know nothing about sports.
Well, I married into it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this as well. So it's okay. Yes.
Okay. But yeah, UVA was amazing. I majored in econ and East Asian studies. I learned how to speak Chinese when I was there.
Amazing.
And that was actually my nanny was Chinese. And so that was her influence. And so, yeah, it was just like a great school. I left I graduated in 2009. So it was a terrible time to graduate. I remember driving to my job interviews in 2008, in the fall of 2008, listening to every bank collapse. And so I did like 100 interviews and I got 2 job offers.
Wow.
And I took one of the 2 job offers. I wanted to move to New York. And so I did that.
There you go. And what were you doing initially in the time between undergrad, working and law school?
I worked at ComScore, which is an internet market research company. I was an analyst, and it was, good to learn how to be in a workplace. And I still am close to the people that I worked with, but that was, market research was not the field for me. It was kind of just like a stop on the way to law school.
Got a job.
Yeah.
Got to New York.
Applied to law school.
Yes. And off to law school. In law school, so you had this conception, right, of what you wanted to become. Was there anything either while you were at law school where you were thinking about shifting around that conception, or anything specifically as you were studying law, like where you thought you might want to begin your law career?
I went to law school really not knowing how the legal industry actually works.
I don't think many do.
Yeah.
Unless your parents have been like owning a law firm or really like running a law firm, et cetera. I don't know that many people do.
So, I mean, I got there. I didn't know the difference even between a litigator and a transactional lawyer. This is kind of like a theme in my life. I'm very curious, but I'm willing to go into things cold and learn. And so I got to law school, and law school does not, at least Michigan at the time, did not set you up to really have an understanding of what a transactional lawyer does. The first year of law school is like, yes, you have contracts, but it's contracts, crim law, constitutional law, torts, property law, civil procedure. So you're learning the foundation that you need to have to be able to pass the bar and be a lawyer and take that in whatever direction you want. And I do think it helps with issue spotting and helping you learn how to think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I interned for a judge after my first year of law school. I worked in the Eastern District of New York in Brooklyn for a judge who coined himself the Rocket Docket. And he had 7 cases go to trial in the 10 weeks that I worked for him, which is absolutely unheard of in federal court. And it was amazing to work for him. I absolutely loved it. I learned so much, but I also realized that as I saw these litigators get up and speak in the courtroom, I had no desire to be one of them. Yep. And so it was actually the clerks that I worked with who had they were taking a break from their big law jobs to clerk. They were the ones who prepped me for on-campus interviews and explained what big law was and where I should apply. And so that's how I ended up getting a job in Chicago. I never lived here before, for Sidley.
Got it. And how long did you stay at Sidley?
3.5 years.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you? What did you learn? And how did that lead to the next thing?
So Sidley was amazing. I got there in 2013 when the firm was kind of I think like all big law was kind of coming out of the recession. Yep. We didn't have enough people in the corporate group. So it actually, was at a time in my life where I could work a lot, and I feel like I got my 10,000 hours. I guess it was like 4 years total actually, but I got my 10,000 hours in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so, I joined the corporate group doing mostly M&A, and I learned everything that a junior associate to mid-level associate would need to know about getting a deal done from the legal side only.
Yes. Yeah.
But I really, through that experience, learned that I was so interested in everything else going on around the deal that I didn't have any insight into. And I especially really loved my private equity clients. I was like, this is so interesting. Why are they buying? What do they see in this business? How did they find this business? How do they decide on the valuation? What are they going to do after the deal closes to grow the business? And, I had blinders on and was just focused on the deal, and it's so fun. It's the wedding, but there's, all the marriage that comes after. Yep. And I was really curious about learning more.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, I remember early in my career, I was doing a specific thing, right? And I was so curious I was really good at that thing, but it just wasn't emotionally or intellectually satisfying to stay in that lane. And you already had this conception of what you wanted to become. I didn't, but I just knew I had to expand. I had to expand beyond that because I needed to. I'm a systems thinker, and I really wanted to understand the whole thing, not just the one thing. Yep. So I totally get that. Great time it's wonderful when you can catch a firm at that inflection point where there's so much opportunity that you get to learn and experience at an accelerated pace. So you stayed there for about 4 years, and then what happened?
I was actually on my first maternity leave. I have 3 kids.
I was going to say.
I got 3 kids.
What are the ages?
Judah is almost 9. Solomon is almost 6.5. And Ada is 3.
And you started a business a year ago.
And I started a business.
Just want everyone to hear that. We'll get back to all this. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I was on my first maternity leave. I did not think I was going to leave Sidley. I was very happy. It's a great place to work. People are great. Yeah. And actually, the person who's the head of the Chicago office now, he and I were close, and he got a call from one of his clients that they were looking for a number 2. They wanted a deal lawyer, and the general counsel of the client used to be in the Sidley corporate group. So
my name came up, they connected us. I just was like, it doesn't hurt to meet someone for coffee. I didn't think anything was going to come of it. And by the time I left that day, I was like ready to start. So
how did they hook you? And what was the company?
The company is Peak Six. How did they hook me? I had in my head, I thought when I had gotten so interested in, my story I had kind of crafted for myself. My narrative was that I was going to go to law school, learn how to think, and then move to the business side. And so through learning about private equity at Sidley, the new goal that I had set for myself was when I was a sixth year, I was going to move to kind of a private holding company. The one that I knew about was BDT. And I was going to do deals and then use that experience to leverage myself into a business role.
Yep.
So I went to go meet with my boss at the time, Jay, at Peak Six. And I was like, I knew nothing about the firm. And he explained to me that they were at an inflection point in 2017. And I was asking him to describe kind of the business model of the firm. And he said, you can think of us like a mini BDT. And so it was like all he needed to say. I had set the goal for myself and he said the right thing. And he's amazing. And I got the opportunity to basically continue working for a Sidley partner, but to take a little bit of risk. And Ron is actually, Uncle Ron is the person that I called and said, what do you think about taking this risk at the time? And it was 2 years before I was ready in my own mind to go. But I thought, if this is a job I would want 2 years from now, why wouldn't I take it now?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tell us about Peak Six for those that don't know. Okay.
So Peak Six is a private holding company. It started off as an equity options trading firm. And that firm was started in 1997. The strategy that firm uses is a volatility arbitrage strategy. So they make money if the markets move. Doesn't matter really if they move up or down. They're basically buying and selling insurance on options or via options. And that business is an amazing business, but it is capacity constrained. So they have to, like a Berkshire, that's kind of like the engine that's like the insurance arm of Berkshire. It's the engine that fuels the rest of the firm. They have to find other ways to allocate the capital that business is throwing off. So over time, they've bought businesses, started businesses, and invested in businesses. And so when I joined in 2017, they had bought one business, which ended up being an incredible investment. And that's Apex FinTech Solutions. And they were getting ready to be more acquisitive. So over the next few years, we ended up buying a flood insurance technology business. And then we moved more into insurance from that platform, an esports business, an ed tech business, started a crypto company. So there were like a bunch of different operating businesses below. And I came in basically at the parent company level to provide legal services and corp dev services to all of the operating businesses and to help with the growth of the family office investment arm.
I can't imagine how much you learned in that process. And through that process, you ended up having an opportunity to become CEO of one of the businesses. Let's talk about how that evolved.
Yeah. So there was a step in between lawyer to CEO. So I was a lawyer for the firm for 2 years. After my second maternity leave, I had been doing 2 jobs for a little while. I had been investing for the family office arm and had been a lawyer for probably about a year at that point. And when I came back from my second maternity leave, I went to my boss and said, I feel like I'm doing a mediocre job at both of these things. I would love to be able to someone needs to have the job of just running the family office. And I would love for it to be me, but if it's not me, it needs to be someone. But it will require me to take my legal hat off. And he said, okay, you can always come back. And like having that safety net was amazing because that was not a decision I took lightly. I did a lot of thinking to pitch that idea.
I can imagine.
Yes.
I can imagine how much you prepared for that conversation.
Yes.
And when you got in the room, like how smooth was it?
Totally
and how
smooth.
quickly did it? It's like,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, at the time, it seemed like the biggest risk ever, and now it just sounds silly. But yeah, it went great, and it was the right move. I mean, I helped to grow the legal department and hired someone who was amazing, who's still there, who replaced me, and I took the role to invest, which that role was really, really critical to me lifting my head up and learning about a lot of different businesses, and importantly, learning. That really reframed my thinking, because I had to go from being a lawyer where I was managing risk to taking risk. And I have like a pretty, like, I don't know, important story about that moment for me, which I wore this watch because I wanted to make sure that I said it.
Good.
So I had been investing for Matt and Jenny, who are the principals of the firm, for a little while. And I was really having a hard time going from like being the lawyer that did due diligence to being the investor that made investment recommendations. And I made one investment recommendation to them. I like had done super, super thorough diligence on this company. And I presented the investment to them with my memo. And then I was like, and that is why I think you should invest $250,000 into this company. And they were like, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, do you know how much money we have to deploy? Do you know how much we're paying you? We can't be investing $250,000 at a time. If you did this much work, you either have conviction or you don't. And if you have conviction, this is probably a $5 million check. And it completely freaked me out. I mean, that's like not at all how I was thinking. I felt comfortable if they lost at the level I was thinking of originally, not at $5 million. So from that conversation, I realized I needed to start to exercise my risk muscle.
Yes.
And that I was thinking too much like a lawyer still. And so
what happened with that deal?
Honestly, I don't even remember if we made the investment.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That it was the moment, but the rest is kind of a blur.
Yeah.
Right?
No clue.
Because the important thing was the thinking, the mindset shift.
Totally.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to take some risk personally. You know, if it didn't feel I couldn't take risk with their money until I felt like I knew how to take risk personally. So I was like, okay, should I be buying like stock and taking, a directional? And I'm like, I don't know anything about investing in the stock market, or at least, I knew something, but I didn't feel like I had an edge. And it happened to be at a time when Fred Wilson from Union Square Ventures was writing a lot about NFTs because they had invested in NBA Top Shot. And I was reading one of his blogs and I was like, oh my God, okay, this is like the first time I've really understood the application of blockchain technology in a context that makes sense to me. So I thought, I'll start trading NFTs. So it felt like I was getting in early and I am a quick learner. And so I was like, I have as much.
How much of your net worth did you stake on this bet and on this learning curve, right? To basically internalize becoming an investor?
Like nothing in the beginning. In the beginning, I kind of was like, kind of options trading. I was buying $3 packs at a time. And when in NBA Top Shot, the model was that if you bought a pack, you couldn't see what was inside, kind of like Pokemon cards. And so you got lucky if you had something good inside, you could resell maybe one of the 3 cards for more than the $3 that you bought it for. So I started small and I was just buying them and it was really fun. And then it got bigger and bigger and ended up being like a few $1,000s that I invested. And the watch story is that I ended up on one pack getting a very, very valuable card. It was a serial 1 edition Jayshawn Tate from the Houston Rockets. He was a rookie. And I sold it for $10,000. I bought it for like $199 and I sold it for $10,000. And I took the money and I bought my watch so that I could remember to take risk.
That's incredible. That's wonderful.
And like I wear this all the time because then when I got the opportunity to be CEO of the crypto company, I was wearing the watch. I knew nothing about crypto, but I looked down at my watch and then said yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did that opportunity to run the crypto company come up for you?
So through the investing experience, I mean, I think, similar probably to how you feel, we're like coaches on the sidelines, and it's an amazing, amazing role to play. And I value it so much now. But at the time, because I had never operated something myself, I started to feel like a phony. I felt like,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of women feel imposter syndrome at some point in their career. And like that was the point for me. I felt very much like, I'm giving advice to these founders and CEOs about how they should run and grow their businesses. And I have no idea if I could actually execute on the things I'm saying, or if the things I'm saying are even the right thing to be doing. And it turned out this realization was happening like in the middle of COVID, where I was sitting in my home office alongside my husband, who is an entrepreneur. And I was hearing the decisions he was having to make to keep his business afloat at a time where COVID was really impacting it. And I was hearing the advice he was getting from his board. And I was just realizing like how much of operating is making decisions in the gray and having conviction about the decisions that you're making, and then the velocity of the decision making. And I didn't feel like I was well-versed enough to be able to give good advice because I hadn't done it. And so
that's interesting that you felt that way. I'm not questioning. It's just interesting that you felt that way, because most investors have never run a business.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean,
ever. Spend a moment in it. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning it.
Yeah.
And there's this theme for you and for some. It's an interesting journey, right? This need to experience, right? This need, it's almost like, and it's a learning by doing. It's an interesting, I've got a lot of the same thing. Some people do, some people don't. It's really interesting that what was kind of the thing that was driving you, right, to go do it because of how you were feeling internally. And listen, I think it's fantastic, right? And I wish more investors would go run a business. I actually think some of the funds that I work with, the ones that I personally enjoy working the most with, the founders of the funds either were operators, right, before. I think that's really, really important, or actually came out of search funding.
Yep.
And like staking their own capital,
yep.
right, clubbing it up,
yep,
doing a PG to buy that first company. And then as they've scaled and taken on institutional investment, they've never lost that really understanding, right? Taking, the risk. And I just think that they resonate more with founders. I think they tend to get firms that come from that origin, in many cases, just in today's market, especially in the mid-market and lower mid-market, tend to have higher returns because they really understand what it takes to be an operator.
Well, what it takes to be an operator. And also I think for me, it was realizing that the operator has the most information.
Absolutely.
And so like the operator is taking in advice from the board, and that is very important to have that sound, that mechanism of a sounding board and advice giving. But that at the end of the day, you want the person who has the most information making the decision. And I just felt like I really needed to understand what that role felt like, what it felt like to make the decision in the moment when there aren't good options. Like if there's one really good option and it's black and white, great. But like 99% of the decisions, it's not ideal. And you gotta make the decision.
And the other thing too, like with the family office or as an investor, you don't have to deploy capital.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you've got the option to do nothing.
Yes.
Actually, and to just sit it out.
Yep.
And you know what? When you're operating a business, you have to move.
Yeah, you have to keep moving.
It's just a different, it's different cadence.
Yep.
So you had the opportunity to run the business, and tell us about that, Joe.
So yeah, Jenny, one of the principals of the firm, gave me, I expressed this interest in operating to her, and she came up with the idea that I could come in and run the crypto company that they owned. One of the senior partners of the firm had started that business in 2018, and he's my client today in his new venture. He's an amazing operator. He can take things from 0 to 1 like no one else. His line that he always has is he can also take things from 1 to 7, but he kind of taps out at 7. And so I came in to try to take it from 7 to 100, and we did that together for the first few months. And so it was a cool opportunity to be like to be a CEO, but again, have the safety net of the founder of the business was my mentor.
And self-aware. And
Yeah.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And then also I ran a subsidiary of Apex Fintech Solutions. So the CEO of Apex was also my boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the principals of the firm. So I had like all these people that were my board in my first role. I was in this like honeymoon phase of being a CEO where I got to just learn. And it was amazing. I joined in October of 2021 in the last heyday of crypto.
Yeah.
The business was just doing so well. When I joined, there was one really difficult to get license that the business needed. It's a BIT license that we needed to get from the New York Department of Financial Services. We had been pending for over 2 years. And so that actually was a great opportunity for me to come in and leverage my legal experience to get that over the finish line. And we did. And that allowed us to operate in all 50 states, which was critical. We went from having like 98% customer concentration. We had one really, really big client to signing over the course of the next year over 30 clients, which really changed the profile of the business from like a product to a real company.
Yep.
And so had one more maternity leave in there, had to just have all these kids in the midst of all the changes. And when I came back from maternity leave, the market for crypto had completely turned. And I had stayed close to the business while I was out. But when I came back, the marching orders were that the market had turned. We had the parent company had been trying to go public, and the crypto business had been making that difficult. Yep. Obviously, different environment now, but this was 2022. And so we decided that we were going to sell the business, which ended up being like the coolest like culmination of all the things I had done in my career. I got to position the business for a sale. So kind of had my investor hat on and really understood what a potential buyer would look for. I got to have my legal hat on and, from an M&A perspective. And then I also got to, continue to run the business because we had to make sure that everything still continued to go well, which was difficult in 2022. We ran a competitive auction process and sold the company to Bakkt, which is a small publicly traded company. Got so lucky on timing. We signed the deal 6 days before FTX imploded.
Wow.
And then we had a bifurcated sign and close because we had to get regulatory approval. So then had to keep the wheels on the bus during that 6-month period when the banking crisis happened and liquidity was drying up. And that was very, very difficult. And definitely I got that experience that I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of operating. I got it all. I mean, it was being in crypto is like dog years. Like I really, in a 2-year period, every day was unprecedented times.
Yeah.
And I got a ton of amazing experience. We got the deal closed in April 2023. And I went and worked for the buyer to transition the business. And then I was like, oh God, what do I do next?
And how long did you have to stay on through the transition?
I stayed on for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you came out and then you had the big, big question, which you just said, what do you do? What do you do next?
Yeah.
I think you were thinking about lots of things, right? I know you were.
Yep.
But let's look at the chessboard there for a second. What were like the 3 big directions in which you think you might go, and what eventually led you to start your own firm?
I think that I didn't necessarily start with like the 3 big directions. I had an amazing coach that had helped me when I made that transition from lawyer to investor, and she generously offered to coach me during this transition period I was in. And she really helped me think about like what my values were. And that's what got me to make the decision that whatever I did next, I was going to bet on myself. And so, I definitely, if you ask me, the 3 things I thought about were like, go and work for someone else and kind of be a hired CEO.
Yep.
2 is start a company, and 3 is buy a company.
Yeah. And that's basically what I figured it was, like one of those three options.
But I was more focused on like the heart of what I wanted was I want to bet on myself, whatever this is next. And so, yeah, but the thing I promised myself was I'm going to go through this period of self-discovery, because I've been like, at that point, over the last decade, I had my head down for so long that I just didn't really know what would make me happy.
And raising 3 children, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a big existential moment. Let's talk more about that journey of self-discovery.
Yep.
What did that work look like for you?
Well, it started with my coach, Sarita, had me make a list of all the things I said I never had time to do. And that I stopped working in August, and I promised myself I wasn't going to take a job or do anything until the end of the year. Okay. So she's like, take this time and do all the things you said you never had time to do. So I tried to learn how to play the guitar. I still don't know how to play the guitar, but I took lessons and tried.
Did you go to like Old Town, or did you go to like
I went to school
coach?
I went to School of Rock, and
cool.
And my instructor was so talented, and he just had no patience for me, because I was this like, just completely, I don't know, I'm very, I'm uncoordinated, and I don't have good finger strength. And he was just like, you can tell he would rather teach a 7-year-old than me. But I volunteered, which was amazing. I walked a lot. I read a lot. I listened to podcasts, and I picked my kids up at school. And I actually I learned a lot about I started working out. I learned a lot about the things I wanted to keep, and then the things that I never had time for, and I'm okay not having time for too. So I promised myself I was going to cook during that time period, and I didn't cook once. So I think that's just not in the cards for me.
It's all right. It's okay.
But yeah, I met with a lot of people. I used that time to really meet with people that I found interesting and try to understand what made them tick and see what I could glean from that about how I should think about myself.
Yes. Interesting. And did you hold yourself accountable to use that whole time? Did you use the whole time to just go on the self-discovery?
I mean, it was funny because during that time period, I got a couple of job offers, and that was really tempting. It was like cool job offers with people that I respected and could have started making money. Like I wasn't paying myself anything.
I get it.
And so, yeah, I held myself accountable in that I promised myself I wasn't going to take a job during that time period, and that I was really going to give myself the chance to figure out what I wanted to do next. And but getting some job offers did make it easier, because I'm like, okay, at the end of this, there's going to be something. There will be something.
I'm employed.
Yeah,
if I have to,
yeah,
I think you're pretty employable.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think you gave me one of them.
Did I?
Yeah.
What did I do?
You just casually offered me something, and I said no, and then your friend Matt gave me a high five.
Oh, right. I remember that. That's right.
And those kinds of moments were the ones where I was like, I'm making the right decision. Like,
yes.
Okay.
And I think that might have been a test as well.
I think it might have been a test.
I think it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it kind of is, because it's like, all right, let's test your conviction here. And so then you're really kind of going down do I start something? Do I buy something? Do I start something? Do I buy something? This is, I think, what it really came out to, right, for you. And gosh, I think when we first met, you're oh my gosh, now I it's so funny. Like, I didn't go back and look at any of our, everyone knows I don't come to anything prepared. But I think when we initially met and I was going through like your one sheet, right, almost as a searcher, I think there were multiple things on there. Like, I don't know, there might have been like landscaping or like, right? Like, so like so there was kind of this one thing, which was kind of like broad searching. Right. And then starting something. What did you eventually decide to, we know where you went. We're going to come back to that here in just a few minutes, but as you're going through kind of the bet on yourself, I could just buy a business, and you were casting kind of a broad net. What eventually brought you back to, you know what, why don't I either buy something in legal or start something in legal? Let's talk about that that journey
Yep.
as a searcher or a starter?
Yep. So one thing that I think is really important is like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like everybody on a podcast like has their message, and like my message is like I'm constantly learning. I'm a lifelong learner. Like I think that like life is messy and complicated, and if you're open to opportunities, it can be really interesting. And so I'm like always taking in messages from other people, but I don't necessarily have like one soundbite that I think that sums up my life, but one of the messages that I took in from someone during that time when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next was my friend Daniel Kimmerling, who runs a fund called Decian's Capital. He's like my guru, and he told me to read The Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
It's a great book.
Amazing book. It is kind of, I think this is my creative act. And he also had me read a short essay from Stanford Business School. And the key message in that is to be interested, to stop trying to be interesting and instead be interested. And so that just like kept playing in my head as I was looking at different businesses. And truly, I would have started the law firm sooner if I had thought of it before. I tried to think of something I wanted to start from scratch. And nothing came to me. And so I was like, well, I can be interested in really any business. And so I looked at a lot of different businesses. I don't know if I looked at landscaping, but I know I looked at a tree servicing equipment distribution business. And I enjoyed learning about a bunch of different companies, meeting a lot of people. But in the end, I was like, okay, I want to be interested in what I'm doing and not just be interesting.
Yep.
And the more that I got closer to the heart of legal services, the more interested I was. And I think there's a huge opportunity to be innovative in the delivery of legal services.
Absolutely.
And so at first, as I was trying to buy a small business, I thought I would roll up small law firms.
I remember having that conversation.
And that's when we met. And then when I bid on a couple small law firms, I didn't win, but in connection with trying to pitch the owners of those firms on why they should sell their prized possession to me.
Yes.
I put together this plan on how I was going to grow a new revenue business line for them through fractional general counsel services. And when I think like the third LOI I put in didn't go through, my husband said to me, like, have you ever thought about just hanging out a shingle and doing that? And I had already formed the entity because I was going to do an asset deal for one of the acquisitions. And so I just put another one pager together and sent it to a few friends. And within a week, I had 2 clients, which was
shocker. I'm not shocked. But
I mean, it made me think that it was going to be a lot easier than it ended up being. So I'm so grateful to them. Those 2 clients are still with me today.
Yeah.
And they put me in business and kept me in business because, it took me probably another 4 months to get the next client. And then it took another 3 months to get the next client after that. And then, eventually you get traction, but starting something from scratch, like it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard.
As you've been growing now over the last year?
Yep. It's been a year.
It's been a year. Has your mind drifted back to bolting on doing a tuck-in acquisition? Has that thought stayed with you? Have you reflected back on that? Is it something that's still in your mind? Or are you thinking right now, I'm just going to keep going organically? Where are you?
I definitely think about it, but I am learning so much about this business model that I feel like I'm creating it through my own imagination and the clients that believe in it as well. And I just think and I really do believe in the business model and its ability to become something that is bigger than me and that really has a place in the legal services industry.
Yep.
And I think at this point, it would be really hard to take an existing law firm with a billable hour model and convert those clients into flat monthly fee clients.
Yeah.
And so I'm lucky that it didn't work out because
I think you are too.
yeah, but maybe one day, maybe,
Or not.
or maybe it's just hiring great lawyers. I'm not quite sure whether, there's an acqui-hire angle to it, but for now, I really think growing it organically is the right way.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Are you loving it?
Yes. Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
It's just radiating.
Thank you.
From you. And I think it's interesting that playing the guitar became part of my journey.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Oh, this is not about me. I'm just sharing. I will play you a song though here that I wrote recently. I think it's my best song, but I'll play a song for you here when we're done that I just finished with a new producer re-recording. But that was a part of it for me. I think rediscovering, very different for me, but I had to come back in touch with myself after I had always told myself when I was growing up, there was this commercial by the chemical company BASF said, "We don't make the thing, we make the thing better." Mm-hmm. That was my conception, that I could partner with a founder. I could go into a business that they couldn't get to the next level. Mm-hmm. I will take them there. But the creative act for me was not something I ever thought that I could do myself. I actually still don't believe that I can do it.
I think you're doing it right now.
I know. But
I'm the same way, by the way. Yeah.
It just is. And so for me, it was actually building on top of Rick Rubin. It was Robert Fritz that helped. I had to put the two things together, the creation and the creative act along with identity. And then understanding neurologically that I didn't have to believe in myself to do the things that I was setting out to do, and that I could put down that existential question. And I had done this once before in my life. There's a song by Iris DeMent, "Let the Mystery Be." Everybody's wondering about where and when we all come from. Everyone's worrying about where we're going to go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be.
Yeah.
And so I had done this once before in my life. And so I was able to, it just happened recently, I was able to put down this wondering about who I am and I'm like, oh shit, kind of already doing it. So not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to focus on the thing that I've set out to do and not let that bother me. I'm still evolving into it. I think you're still evolving into it. And I feel very much the same way, which is I'm creating something. It's magical and scary and fragile. And it doesn't feel, it's a great risk. And yet it doesn't feel that way. It feels like the least amount of risk in some way, because I'm just focused on the active, I'm just focused on creating.
Because it feels authentic. It doesn't feel like a risk.
Yeah. There's just something about it.
I feel the same way.
I can't quite explain it, even though we're taking the greatest risk and betting on ourselves and starting on our tools.
Yep. To
build the model to eventually scale.
Yep.
And I can't imagine doing anything else right now.
Yeah.
Or so it feels right. And so I just continue to lean into it. And it sounds like that's what you're doing too.
Yeah. I think I told you before we started this, I am kind of like a typical prototype for a lawyer in terms of my personality. I'm a people pleaser, perfectionist, procrastinator. Those are the 3 Ps that a lot of lawyers are. Mm-hmm. And so before we started, I mentioned I used to be the person who, if I had a podcast to be on, I would prepare for weeks. Mm-hmm. I would make sure that I had every single talking point planned out. And I didn't realize we were recording today. So this is just kind of me speaking, and It isn't perfect. And
I feel okay.
And yeah, it feels okay. I think when it's when what you're doing is authentic, it doesn't need to be so prepared.
That's right.
And so it just, and then it's taking a risk, but like you said, it doesn't feel like taking a risk.
Yeah. We're over time. Okay. Thank you. I mean, it's okay. And I, like I said, we were just going to sit here and chit chat like we would at S&G. Is there anything else that you think that you would like to share with the other future yous out there, or the current you, that, what else would you like to pass on, especially to, it could be to women, it could be to working mothers, it could be to lawyers that think that they want to be entrepreneurs, it could be to anyone wanting to start the entrepreneur, whatever it is.
Okay. Well, I have maybe two things then.
Sure.
To women who are mothers, I would say that a lot of women feel like they have to pick kind of being really good at one thing or the other. And I think because my mom worked, I saw that you can do both of the things, and that, I felt confident that I grew up okay. And so my kids will too. And so I would say for me, the biggest things that have allowed me to go far in my career and also be really connected with my kids is that I am super, super present when I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And that means that when I'm at work, I am 100% present, and I have to outsource childcare, whether that's, school or nanny.
Yep.
I do have to outsource that. But when I'm home, I am incredibly present, and I've committed to myself and to my family that every day that I can, which is not every day, but most days, I'm home by 6 p.m. and I am completely present from 6 until I put the kids to bed. And then I get back online, but I don't let one bleed into the other, because then I just feel like I'm not great at both. So I think it's
great advice.
Yeah. And making sure that like you work with people who you can tell those are my sacred hours, or whatever your sacred hours are. That has been I couldn't be doing what I'm doing without that.
I agree.
And then I think in terms of other future, maybe lawyers who want to be entrepreneurs, the thing that I've learned through doing this new company that I'm creating is that I think it is interesting to realize that I can create something and, be running a company and have it not at all be about me. I'm the secret weapon for my clients. And I think for a long time, I thought like, if you're a CEO, you're kind of the main character. And I've learned with my business that the way that I can be successful is by making my clients look really, really good in whatever they're doing, whether that means that I'm helping them get new business, I'm helping them present to their board, I'm helping them get new investors, that my success actually is their success, and vice versa. And so I think that for lawyers who are thinking about being entrepreneurs, they're like, the role of the secret weapon is what is really valuable to clients.
I agree 100%. Listen, that great words of wisdom on both fronts. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this and coming in and being open and being vulnerable and telling your story and coming in unprepared. Because I didn't even tell you what we were going to talk about till yesterday, I think, right? Yeah. And I could only tell you so much, which is, this is your story. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. And it's an incredible story. It's an incredible journey. And I'm just excited to see and to continue to follow your story and be a supporter and a fan. I think what you're doing is incredible and it's inspiring to me. And thank you so much for being here on Diners and Deals.
Thank you. I meant it when I said it. Like, your belief in me got me believing in myself. So thank you. And this is really full circle for me. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Of course. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.